Yet, it seems to me that you are against programs that let and make choices for their lives. For example, I read, maybe you can correct this, that you would like to overthrow Roe v. Wade. You're against government-mandated maternity leave, which is a woman's issue. And you're against raising the minimum wage because a lot of women are working in low-paying jobs. And really, the minimum wage, I think, is a great idea because it stimulates the economy. People have more money, they spend more, everything is better. So how do you reconcile these two positions that I just explained to you?
Well, you just went through the litany of the left, by the way, if I may say. That is the litany of the left, that the only way you can be pro-woman is to agree with the left's prescriptions for women. Here's the problem, though. The prescriptions that you laid out aren't helping women. So you've laid out a bunch of stuff. Let's just start with abortion. Okay. I mentioned common ground. Actually, the American people have found common ground on this issue. Whether you're pro-choice or pro-life, I'm pro-life. But whether you're pro-choice or pro-life, the majority of Americans are horrified by the reality that we're harvesting baby parts through late-term abortion.
Carly, I need to stop you. I need to stop you because that is not, you know that's not true.
You asked
Carly,
me a question.
no one's harvesting baby parts.
That's interesting.
No one's harvesting baby parts.
That's interesting,
Whoopi,
that Planned Parenthood, it's interesting that Planned Parenthood just announced that they were no longer going to take compensation for that. So I guess they differ with you, but here's my point.
They weren't harvesting. But go ahead, Carly, because, yeah, you have the floor.
Please don't say things like that that are not true. That offends my sensibility to hear you say something like that when you know it's not true.
You can take issue with
you know, it's interesting.
Planned Parenthood, but you have to sort of, I think what we need to hear is what it is you would like to see women dealing with, because we know that the only women who are really affected by Planned Parenthood are women who are low income, because they go and get a DN.
And also, when you're talking about
I guess what I would say, ladies, is I find it inexplicable, honestly. Let's just go through these things that help women. Community health centers help women. Pregnancy centers help women. So why is it that the left consistently refuses to allow taxpayer funding for community health centers and pregnancy centers?
I'm under the impression
Let's go to the issue. May I finish the question? May I finish the answer to the question, the three-part question that Michelle asked? Let's ask ourselves, why is it, Joy, sorry, I can't see you all, so it's hard to distinguish your voices occasionally. I apologize. But let's ask ourselves why women do better in a meritocracy. Women do better where they are paid not for time and grade, but where they are paid for their real value, their real contributions, what they produce. Women do better in those environments because women frequently come to the workforce later. They sometimes leave the workforce to care for their families, and yet government jobs, union jobs pay on seniority, time and grade. That harms women. By the way, seniority systems, big government jobs, union jobs are the litany of the left, whereas a meritocracy is what the private sector, if they are enlightened, and many are focused on. Meritocracies are what got me from a secretary to a CEO. Let's talk about some of the litanies of the left. In terms of whether they're helping women or not, they're not. They're driving women into poverty and unemployment.
Hi, Carly. It's Paula Ferris talking. I know you've seen a bump.
Paula.
How you doing? I know you've seen a bump after the debates. The next debate, you're going to be one of 8 on the stage next Tuesday. But in the recent polls, all 4 of them, you're polling no more than 3%. So is your campaign, are you guys seeing something that we're not?
Well, listen, I started on May 4th. I announced my candidacy on May 4th. I was 16 out of 16. The polling companies weren't even asking my name. How little people thought of my chances. Now I'm sitting on a debate stage with 7 other candidates. There's no other candidate that has the trajectory that I have had. And the reason I've been on that trajectory is because people hear me. And when they hear me, they tend to support me. So I think we've done a pretty good job over the last 6 months. And of course, now we're coming to the middle of this election campaign. I would also say to you, if you look back at 2012 or 2008, any election actually, the polling data at this point is not predictive. In fact, it's wrong. If you look at the elections that just happened earlier this week, the polling data 24 hours before an election was dead wrong in a place like Kentucky. So what I see is what I see on the ground.
I'm going to ask you to hold on 1 second because we're going to break and we'll come back with more with Carly Fiorina.